Adult beverages are poured. The kids are asleep. Welcome to New Dad Gaming. It's a show about fatherhood, gaming, and new fathers figuring out their gaming lives.
My name is Trevor, and I have a 9-year-old and a 6-year-old.
And I'm Jeff. I have a 13-year-old and an 11-year-old.
Each week, we try to show that just because you became a dad
Does not mean it's game over.
So, the ultimate insult from my oldest, where the game in the pool was to hit Dad's bald spot with the water guns. So, like, come on, hit his bald spot, and they're chasing me around, just picking me on the back, and it's equal parts. That's funny. It's a good burn, but also, but also that's very painful.
Yeah,
because it's big enough to be seen as a target now, so that's cool. That has no relation as to why I'm wearing a hat on the live episode. It's just because it was a long, greasy day involving soccer, so I'm behatted as we record. But just hit Dad's bald spot.
See, I'm glad you mentioned that because we share in this pain. My 13-year-old, the other day we're running around, we have to get to an event. I'm driving like the mother-in-law's huge van, right? So like he's in the back and can see directly because vans are enormous and whatever. I'm in the captain's chair and he's like, "Hey Dad, where are we going? What are we doing? Blah, blah, blah." Like tons of questions. Like keep going. And like, "Why do you have a bald spot?" I'm like,
"Oh, okay. Okay.
Great. Thanks."
Why am I not buying you ice cream today? I don't know.
Why am I asking you to exit the vehicle? I don't know.
Why are we no longer going to your soccer practice today?
Yeah, it was just so casual, so matter of fact, and like you were saying, you're like, haha, but like,
but hey, dads, we can all revel in that pain. We can all be in that together as we try to grow older with games, with our kids, as they get wittier and meaner, I guess you would say. And speaking of rites of passage and kids getting meaner and us getting weaker, let's talk Mario Kart.
Yeah.
Jeff and myself had the distinct pleasure of joining Nintendo for what they were calling Dad's Night Out. So they got together a bunch of us gaming dads across the streaming verse, I guess you could call it, Twitch folks, podcast folks, and others. Showed us some of their upcoming projects and games, which we'll be posting some on our socials to kind of talk about them. They look really great. And otherwise, just got all our dads playing in Mario Kart. I was awful. I don't know. I just bottom tier the entire time. I'm so bad at this game. And you smoked me a few times too. That I appreciated. That's real nice. It's hard to describe. Like the one gentleman, I'll try to link his name in the show notes because it sounds like he runs a fairly fascinating Twitch channel where Mario Kart tends to be one of like the key things, and it's competitive Mario Kart. So it's not just some rando. Let's play a little bit. Like this guy has all the cheats, has all the exploits, has all the shortcuts, and in this match too. Consistently every single match, like first place, like not even close.
Yeah, well, I gave him a run for like that last one. I was close. I was hoping somebody had that blue shell like packed because I was like right on his trail at the finish line. So I almost got him, but
you were an opportune what would you call it? Question mark box.
Yes.
Away from a victory.
It was so close. I'm like, come on, lucky question mark. But no, it never happened. I did swap in my 11-year-old for one of them. And they talk smack the entire time because they were watching me play this. I'm like, okay, fine, you go in. And, they didn't know the buttons, Trevor. So I'm like, haven't you played this forever? And they're like, I haven't played for a long time. And they were trying to figure out the gas. I'm like, well, you finished in 12th. So
who's cool now?
Who is talking smack anymore? But no, it was a fun time. I think, again, just relearning even Mario Kart and going back into it. It was a good experience.
Yeah, fantastic event. So obviously Nintendo, thanks a lot for the invite to the dear old New Dad Gaming here. Some of the other titles I was obviously interested that they saw. One well known like Nintendo, Nintendo from Minecraft,
Yes.
which is more of a reminder that it exists. And again, you see it and just like this is such a stunning thing, something I might look into for my kids. One that I'd seen in preparing to play with everybody, but had not touched was Star Wars Hunter.
Yes.
Star Wars Hunters. Now this basically looks like Overwatch, but for family and Star Wars.
Yeah, I hadn't known about this for until it dropped and Nintendo just announced it at this experience where I'm like, oh, this would be a neat thing if you again your kids into Star Wars, something to try out. I think it's free to play to get into it.
That's the thing. So it is on Switch, which is always great, especially if we're just family friendly. It's probably I think it's cross-platform. I'm not sure if it was Nintendo exclusive. I have a hard time believing it would be. Actually, sorry, let me bring it up. Star Wars Hunters is here. Step into the arena, new competitive battle game on Nintendo Switch and mobile devices.
Oh, so it is exclusive. Okay.
But it is mobile devices. So as far as looks like, so let's actually see these.
That's good though. So that's good because that means they've designed the game around those devices versus like the Switch trying to handle something that it wasn't meant to handle. You know, being a 8-year-old console.
So that makes for an even. So yeah, gaming dads, take a look at this one. I think honestly, like it's one of the more interesting titles that I saw because that would be, given the Nintendo angle. I don't like. I'd be concerned about some of the. Introducing them into economies where they're going to have to purchase, but ultimately I think that's something that we can navigate. And if it is a free game, and because it's on Nintendo, you're kind of assured that quality, that the kind of safe working space where like kids can kind of play without much issue.
Yeah,
and then should your kid have an iPad that they game on or phone, like they're in the Star Wars universe, this could be a good get.
Yeah, and especially if it does have crossplay, that would be very helpful for families, and if there's only one Switch in the house, for the kids to play against each other or on a team. Hopefully on a team. So we don't.
I mean, I think that's a great point. And actually, one of the things that works pretty well in our house for Minecraft, for instance, is the kids will be on the console and I'll be on my phone. And because you can do that cross-play, like we're able to like sync up and play. Same with Among Us. So the fact that that's a pretty decent angle for kids and the parents.
Yeah.
Where parents get on your phone, kids get on your Switches.
Yeah. It's like you're handed that like ratty second controller, second player controller. You're like, I guess I'll play on my phone. Okay.
Yeah, so hey, another big shout out to Nintendo. Thank you so much for the invite. That was another blast and event. And hey, we learned something. Star Wars Hunters. Got to check it out. Now, PSA for dads. I had just discovered this. We recently had a birthday and came across this, thought it would be garbage, and it turned out to be fantastic. So what I'm talking about is reusable water balloons.
Okay.
Reusable water balloons.
I'm wondering how.
So
this
immediately
works.
you're thinking that they're going to be garbage. I was right there with you.
Yeah.
They're amazing. Now the ones we got, funny enough, we got to try a couple just because we'd ordered a few, and then bizarrely he got one as a gift. And the one that worked phenomenally well. It's one off of Amazon. They're biodegradable, so in time they will just disintegrate back into the earth. So not made out of like just straight plastic, but it's a light plasticky film, and then it's got 2 rings around it with magnets. You put it under the water, and the 2 magnets naturally attach to each other, and in so doing produce a pretty full ball of water. And then given that they're just magnets and not super tight, they're tight enough to keep the water in, but as soon as they hit somebody, just boom, splash. So the reload of it, because the magnet thing is super fast, so you just run up to a thing of water, it clamps together, and if you do check with this video, I think Jeff, you're seeing this for the first time.
Yeah.
We're seeing a 4-year-old do it. He opens it, dips it down, and just naturally the 2 sides go, and that ball, I'm telling you, that's pretty firm, pretty throwable. Smash, just opens up. These things are awesome, man, because as you must have, everyone here has likely had the experience with the 100 balloons.
Yeah.
That you attach the hose to, and boom, you get all the tiny little balls. And then you get to clean up 100 little pieces or 1,000 little pieces of plastic across your damn yard.
Mm-hmm.
Killing baby bunnies, it's a
All
nightmare.
sorts of wildlife is gone because of
Yeah. So just to say, I was skeptical. We used it. I could not believe it. So this is just a PSA as we're entering into the summer months. This is a fantastic get, ton of fun, and yeah, a product you would assume to be garbage, but I can just sit here and vouch for it. It's fantastic.
No, that's a good again good PSA because I'm glad there's an evolution of this. We bought quote reusable water balloons back in the day when my kids were very very young, and basically they were just like knitted water balloons, like it was a fabric. So you dunk them and it's just like throwing a wet sock. Like it's just like it kind of hurts, it's kind of gross, and it just makes that thwack sound, right? Like and it's done and then it rolls in the dirt and now it's dirty and then you reload it and just sink it in water and now this dirty sock. Anyway, it's not the greatest. Again, we were like aware of all the plastic we were using, so it was something that we picked up. But this looks much, much better. Again, an evolution, kind of like a Pokeball, just with water. Just
yeah. That's a perfect description of it. Really, and the sizing of it too. Like it's very much like a Pokeball. And if you do check a video of it, especially these type, you'll see they threw it on the ground, picked it up, dunked it in the water, snapped, they got right together, and immediately full. So just ding, 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 ding.
perfect.
So hey, had to put it out there. Worked great for a birthday, gaming dad's summer. Get out there. Now I had a question for you, and then a follow up from myself. Where are you at with Songs of Conquest? That was the kind of big get from last week, and was rekindling your fire that had existed for Heroes of Might and Magic.
Yeah, I'm still in the game. I'm almost completed like the first campaign. And then was deep into, they include a map editor. So I was in there kind of, I always used to do this as a kid and map edit something where I automatically am going to gain all the resources so I can just have an easy time. And nothing's really changed with that. So I was like in there painting my own canvas of like, look at this giant land I get to own against all these other suckers that are going to join this map. So yeah,
So it's your inbuilt cheat code, basically.
Oh, obviously. And then
Well done.
I haven't got the kids into it yet, but this is one that I'm, again, on and off playing. I love it. So I'm wondering where you stand in Songs of Conquest or other.
I would defy most dads listening to this podcast
Okay.
who'd had a PC at some point and at some point had played this game. Because I think it's one of those that it just sat right. It sits within you somewhere, right? There was this great itch. It's a fantastic game. You can go back to a time. And the other thing about it, too, it's like super unique, right? Because you have platformers, right? It's like much like a Sonic and a Mario and, like Rayman, like pick your poison, right? Or you have an RPG. This one, the setup of it is fairly unique in gaming, ultimately, right? Isometric view, strolling around a map, like the map is like, it's kind of ugly, like it's just like, there's just things like scattered all about it, but you'd have to kind of strategically place and then the combat is entirely different where it's like on a hexagon square. That part's been mimicked, but the rest of it not so much. Anyways, all long story short, I had such an itch after we spoke, because it just brought up all those memories, all the thinking about it, of the times like playing this game and seeing it as well. And then lo and behold, I don't know if the internet listens to like all these retailers listen to the show.
They must
base their sales based.
Yeah, they must.
But Galaxy of Games or Good Old Games or Galaxy of Games?
I've always named it as GOG, so I'm not sure. I think it's
Hold on. So GOG.com. So we're gonna figure this out right now. Okay, everything I see about this is just GOG. What does that stand for?
We're old, Trevor. This is it. It's out of Steam
Do we
or
need
GOG, and that's it.
GOG. What does GOG supports? Oh man, I can't even find it on their website. What does GOG stand for? Good Old Games.
Okay. You had it. Yay.
Anyways, Good Old Games. Heroes of Might and Magic 3, $2.
Perfect.
$2.
$2 less than coffee.
So I got in. I just, it's this show is terrible. for us as far as like purchasing games.
It really is.
Because, but again, I would almost challenge gaming dads, and I'd love to hear like if you had the same experience, or if you do have the experience after I suggest it, reach out to us at New Dad Gaming or newdadgaming.com. But I would defy most gamers of our age or our ilk to go and watch some video and gameplay of Heroes of Might and Magic 2, 3, whatever, and not just have that sort of, it's like, oh, I really want to play that. I remember playing that game back in the day.
Yeah, it immediately conjures up all those good times, right? I remember playing this game all the time on snow days, and like as soon as school was canceled, like it was called, it was immediately in front of like the family PC and booting up. I was into Heroes of Might and Magic 2, and then eventually got 3. 3 wouldn't work on my current PC that I had, so I was like, we need to upgrade. But now you could play this thing anywhere, so like it still holds up in just that, you know, the game mechanics of it. Again, the artwork is just what it is. So if you like that old illustrate, it can be like, especially like some of the gargoyles and stuff. It's like, oh, okay, you chose designs that weren't, you know, not gonna stand the test of time. But no, I love these games, and I think I actually own all of them at some point. I think I actually bought them off GOG at some point, so they'll be in my library somewhere. Then I'll load up on maybe the Steam Deck. Maybe I'll try that tonight. Good call. See, it's swinging back again.
Well, make sure you finish Songs of Conquest.
Yes.
I'm curious about that one. But yeah, I'd try to roll it onto Steam Deck. I'd be curious to see how that would roll.
Yeah.
So yeah, gaming dads, as I said, the challenge is like, go and watch some gameplay, let it sit with you for a while, and see if you are not called to go to GOG or some other outlet and try to find it for $2 or $3 and play it.
Yeah.
Because, oh, what a great time! What can I tell you? Now, another good time I'm going to be looking to try to have, especially with my oldest, is I have purchased a copy of a solo/2-player deck dice playing game, physical game.
Okay.
So this thing is called One Deck Dungeon.
Cool.
So yeah, so the long standing thing of this, what had happened was I've been Dungeons and Dragons adjacent.
Yes.
I've always wanted to play. It hasn't quite worked out, and especially as a busy dad, I'm still hopeful like I'll get into a group at some point. But liked it, right? For sure. Especially with like podcasts like Critical Role and Adventure Zone. Just, you know, Dungeons and Dragons adjacent.
Yep.
So the entire fantasy RPG dice rolling thing, my jam, right? And then there's cards, of course, Magic and Hearthstone and Marvel Snap.
Yeah.
So all the pieces come together.
That's right. They're just circling. They're circling around. Yeah. So where'd they fall?
Yeah. So what happened now? Initially, what did happen is I found a game like this one, a card rolling deck, like a dice rolling thing in a thrift store. I think it's called like Dungeon Roll.
Oh.
Also a good game.
Okay. Yeah.
A little clunky, but I'd played it with my oldest, who was sort of interested in it. Like we had a great afternoon actually. So I'll go even further than that. He was very interested in it. He liked it. He wanted to play this thing, and for a afternoon, like really kind of got into it. Now this game was a bit too complicated, so we kind of nerfed the rules a little bit, but had an awesome time. And it just put into me a spark that like, wouldn't it be great if we could extend our enjoyment of video games and take it to something that's offline, off screen? You know, like what if it was a bit more reading and it was actually, you know, physical, like just sitting there at the kitchen table and having like physical space and playing around.
Yeah.
And after some research, fell on One Deck Dungeon. Fairly simple. Cool mechanics though, like, and the way the cards and everything kind of play onto each other is really clever and a lot of fun. And it's also 2-player.
Nice.
So you can do it yourself, which I'm kind of curious of that too, like sort of a weekend evening, just sort of chilling and like rolling and not looking at screens for a change.
Yep.
But then in addition, the fact that it had a 2-player mode where it's like, all right, let's choose our hero. Let's try to get through this dungeon and see what we can do.
Oh, so it's a co-op then. You're both going through helping.
Exactly.
Yeah.
Yeah. So we're on the same team, and that is important too. I've not found a lot of play where it's like we're competing with each other. Like whereas things like this, he wants to be on the same team currently.
Yeah.
So that has been like super helpful in that way.
That's a good
So
phase to hold on to that phase, because my kids are very much the opposite. They're like, no, I don't want to be on your team. I want to beat you at this. So
all out for blood.
Yeah.
How'd that work out for the Nintendo event this evening, by the
it
way?
did
Go ahead and
not.
tell that story. No, I was going to say, tell the story, like what, how your son got humbled a little bit upon the throne of Nintendo.
Again, picked up the controller, said, let's go on this course, and then didn't really finish that course in a good place if it was second last. But
Yeah, so Jeff's kid is sitting beside him, just chirping.
Yeah.
Hey, do better, Dad, do better.
Yeah.
Jeff gives him the controller for one round, just a Nintendo event, playing Mario Kart, and just blows it.
just
Sucks.
blows it. And this is a person that's watched YouTube videos on like what mechanics to pick to, and they blew it. So I have bragging rights for a long time. That's all I'm saying.
Well deserved.
Yeah.
Well deserved.
Yeah.
So, anyways, I will report back. We haven't. It's arriving this week. I just have a bunch of excitement about it, just for myself. I think the kind of a slower pace, non-digital type outlet, and especially again as a dad who would like to kind of play these dice games, but I can't commit to a team of like getting together with folks like for 4 hours every couple weeks.
Yeah, and
This seems like a nice outlet.
it does. And just to give the viewers, the audio listeners, of what I'm looking at of the game, it is quite tight as well. So you don't need a huge table. It looks like there's 3 or 4 stacks going, and then you're off. So it looks like you could play this in a small space, right? Just on a coffee table or something. So
yeah, see, that's what I kind of liked about it. That's a really good point. I'm glad you brought that up. Like one thing that's kind of guided my decision making was actually that sort of limited scope.
you're not
Because
taking over the
see some
kitchen. Yeah, no, I get
You
it.
see some of these board games, they cost $100 to $200.
Yes, yeah.
And there is 1,000 pieces
Yep.
and 1,000,000 rules. And this one is like by its namesake, one deck dungeon. The entire thing is a tiny box, one deck of cards, and then a whole bunch of dice.
Yep.
So, but where some of the really cool things are is how they've designed the cards so that like things slide under each other and then reveal other pieces. So, super excited for it. I'll report back.
Yeah.
Now, much like the other stuff, gaming dads out there, if you have recommendations for such a title that might kind of scratch this itch, especially playing with my sons, or you've had great success, or anything else you can recommend on this type of real world deck and dice type stuff, reach out to us, newdadgaming.com or at newdadgaming. Now, going back into screens and still hitting on the same nostalgia that we were playing with before, looking at our Heroes of Might and Magic.
Yes.
So Final Fantasy IX. Now I got confused by this story. So why don't you cue it up, because I thought you were referencing something I'd seen, but you're actually not. It's something entirely different.
Yeah, so it's been rumored for a while that Square Enix is remastering Final Fantasy IX, and that it's been cooking for a while, and even so much info has been like circling that they had sent it out to be done and they weren't really happy with it and brought it in-house, and now it's almost complete and we should get a reveal soon. And the way that this, like, again, good inside sources, I guess, but take it with a grain of salt. But they've done this before, where even the Final Fantasy VII remake was pushed out and then brought in because they weren't quite happy with it. And now they might do the same with Final Fantasy IX, which I think we both played. So it is an interesting one if it does drop, if there is a remaster. Again, a single one, not a trilogy. But let's see where it is. But you had a different kind of concept of what this was. So
Got it. Well, firstly, as soon as you said trilogy, that made me sad for a second. Because if they make this into a trilogy,
no, they shouldn't.
like they did Final Fantasy VII,
I know.
because I know this, and it is one of my most beloved Final Fantasies for sure. Final Fantasy IX.
Yeah.
Absolutely adored this game. I had like huge, phenomenal memories of this game. Right. So no shame in saying one of my favorites. And actually, I've already bought a remaster. Or I guess you'd almost just want to call it HD. So it's for iOS. You can buy. It works on there. Played through the entire thing. Just adored it. Love this title. Now, initially, what I'd seen though, and we might have covered it before, but it's Final Fantasy IX Memoria project.
Yes. Yeah.
And this is just fan led, and this is a group of guys who just rebuilt, or at least like some of the are starting to rebuild Final Fantasy 9, but in Unreal 5.
Yeah, which looks crazy. Like it looks so good. Like
it's stunning, and even, what's good too is like it's not hyper realistic. Like it's definitely a shade down from Final Fantasy 7 as far as like realistic looking characters, but not in that the fidelity is stunning. Like it looks fantastic. The detail work is amazing, but they've just gone for a bit more of the cartoony look, which is a good homage to the actual source material, right?
yeah, it totally goes with that vibe of when Final Fantasy 9 came out. It was coming off 8, which was a little bit more realistic, more realistic body types and stuff. And then they got back to that kind of fantasy and medieval stuff. So this goes with that. It almost looks like Pixar-esque or like clay, but really well done. I would hope that Square even looked at this and be like, yeah, so that remaster that we're doing out there, we're not too happy with that because like fans built this, so let's bring that back in, right?
See, I thought when you first said it, so I thought you were either referencing this or you had the exciting news that Square Enix had just said, yeah, just like we'll bring that in house, let's finish it together, and this is what it'll look like.
I'm hoping.
So it'll be curious to see. I don't know if that was the case or if they're going to take inspiration from it, or it'll just be its whole own thing.
Yeah, we'll have to see. I will be interested in picking it up because it is one that I did enjoy. I don't remember it, but I did enjoy it. I remember enjoying it, so I wouldn't mind replaying it again with just those modern touches. Bring it up a little bit, so we'll wait and see.
No, not so much for speaking of news, but that does kind of dovetail interestingly on is a fear I would have is that it's going to be a PS5 exclusive. And I only say that because I don't have a PS5 and I'd really like this title.
Yeah.
Right? But the cross section here is that Square Enix has recently said they're going to stop with, not stop's not the right word, but they're going to like more seriously look at cross-platform releases for all of their titles.
Yeah.
Because I think with Final Fantasy 7, was it 7 that they were unhappy with the numbers with, where this is why, which had spurred them to start looking at other platforms, or what was the impetus for the announcement of Square Enix going to other platforms?
I think it was a few things. So 16 didn't do that well for them. Again, it sold millions of copies, but the Square, like, no, that's not enough.
Billions, yeah.
Same with Remake and Rebirth, millions of copies, but it didn't meet the expectations. And then they've had some, completely big flops like Foam Stars, which was like their live service, Splatoon, like that died almost immediately. So I think they're just in a space where they're making exclusives, not getting enough money for it to be exclusive, and then losing out on a lot of that audience. And I'm all for it. Like, spread that love. I wouldn't mind anybody with an Xbox or even a Switch to get in on this, just depending on what it is, as long as it's not holding anything back. But I'm hoping it's just, push it out. Maybe it's on Game Pass. Maybe it's just something that is just fed everywhere. So I think you'll be able to play it. I don't think it'll be PS5, like, look at these shiny graphics. It'll be, I think they'll hit that PS4 era. So
okay, be curious if it, like the new version on Switch would be great, because Final Fantasy living on Nintendo has always been great.
Yeah.
Somewhat selfishly, I think like what has been great is like I've really enjoyed the Xbox. I'm glad I have the console, but it's really been taken over by the kids.
Yes.
To the point where like they have all their games installed, and for me to install my games, I'd have to delete theirs. And I know I can stream them, but that's still, there's just enough, like, that's not 100% yet. So like I find myself a bit resistant. So my main gaming system right now is PC, because I have a good gaming PC. So for myself, when I'm thinking of Final Fantasy 7 Rebirth and maybe 9, if this is where they go, like I'd like to see them also launch on PC.
Yeah, I mean, it's coming. Like, they've said 16 is coming to PC. Rebirth is next up. And maybe this one is one of theirs, like, let's just drop it everywhere at once. No exclusivity. Yeah. We just need the dollars. We need the game sold. We need Trevor happy. We need New Dad Gaming happy.
Need New Dad on our side. They keep going to these Nintendo events, but they're not showing up to ours.
Right, exactly, right? Jeez, two tickets.
So that is confirmed, though. Final Fantasy 7 Rebirth will be on PC.
Yeah, well, they haven't officially confirmed, but they said it will. The exclusivity ended end of May. So Integrate and remake were on PC, so it's only like the second one is going to be on PC. It's just a matter of when.
Okay. Perfect. Because I really want to play that one.
Yeah.
But I'm not gonna buy a PS5. I'm not spending $600 to play that game. So if it can come over to PC, that would indeed make me very happy.
Again, make Trevor happy, Square Enix. I know you're listening.
Let's do this.
Come on.
And man, Final Fantasy 9, like that would be so happy. That would be phenomenal to get back into that world.
Watch it just drop like tomorrow, and you're like, what?
Go.
Listen, like they.
Emergency broadcast.
That's right.
Stop everything.
Yep.
The new live streaming game.
That's right.
Hey. Alrighty, everybody. We'll wrap it up there for the week. Thank you so much for listening. This has been New Dad Gaming. Do you have any comments on the stories from this week? Do you have some hot tips for Mario Kart, or can you teach us how to be good at Mario Kart? Basically, have you dipped back in? Have you checked out Songs of Conquest, or can you survive the Heroes of Might and Magic challenge? Watching it, not playing it. Do you have suggestions for a in real life deck and dice rolling game, or any thoughts on Final Fantasy and exclusivity? Anything of the above, we'd love to hear from you. Reach out to us at New Dad Gaming or newdadgaming.com. Interactions have been one of the best parts of this podcast. We love seeing your messages, read them every week, do our best to respond to everybody. So reach on out to us. We'd love to hear from you. If you love the podcast, what would really help us out is if you go ahead to any of the podcasting networks and subscribe. So you can find us on iTunes, Google Play, Spotify, Caster, anywhere where you get your podcast. Just search for New Dad Gaming. Once again, everyone, thank you for listening. And until next week, my name is Trevor, and I have a 9-year-old and a 6-year-old.
And I'm Jeff. I have a 13-year-old and an 11-year-old that didn't do too well in Mario Kart.
You still got that edge, buddy. Enjoy it. Enjoy it. Remember, everybody, just because you became a dad
Does not mean it's game over.